Awesome. Now, let's begin. Thank you for joining us. And today we are going to continue from where we stopped from. So thank you for joining us. Just a reminder, we are going to make sure that you guys who are joining the meeting get bundles support as soon as possible. So watch out for that. In the next meeting, we'll be sharing with you a form and fill that form as clearly as possible. And we will make sure that you get that support. But thank you for joining us, and we can begin. So last week, I dropped like a small assignment, let me call that. Last week, I was able to drop a small assignment. And in that assignment, we were able to look at how we can develop user interfaces uh, by adding forms so that a user can input something, okay? So we are going to just have a quick recap on that small assignment. And then from there, we will be able to dive into finish the user interface development. And then we do a backend, we do backend. So I'm going to share my screen and then, okay, let me share my screen. Awesome. So this is the application, and I would just want to mention that you can try having here as the icon in the screen one. Make sure that the icon you've selected the app logo or whichever the icon you feel like you want it to be the icon. It is the screen one properties. Make sure that you change it. You change the app icon here, the app icon to app logo. Then after that, we were able to create a couple of screens. Of course, we were able to finish the login screen and we were able to finish the sign up screen. And we were also able to finish the dashboard. We're also able to finish the dashboard and changed a couple of items from the user interface. Now we are heading directly to make sure that we finish the assignment first, and then we shall finish the user interface and begin a little bit of backend before we stop. So I'm going to create a screen. This is just for us to recap the assignment so that in case you missed, you know what to do. So I want first of all to thank you guys for those who are able to do it. And that was really remarkable. I received a lot of screenshots from you on WhatsApp. Well done. But if you aren't, there is no problem. Let's have a look at it. So the screen name is make underscore appointment, like that, make underscore appointment, and then press enter, or you can click on create. And then in this screen, we have a couple of properties, for example, like background color. Of course, it's we've left background color as white. Then we have align horizontal. Align horizontal, we will leave it as center. We'll put center. Align vertical top, we'll leave it at top. And then the title of the screen, as you can see, it is make appointment underscore. We are going to change that to make appointment into a sentence case. Make appointment, like that. Now, after we are done with this, we are going to add a space. We are going to add a space on top because we don't want our items to be aligned directly at the top. So we'll go to the layout section, general, and then we are going to drag a space, put it there, and we are going to give that space a height of 20 pixels. So with Cordula, as long as you just type 20, it will know that it's pixels. Or if you just type inside 20 with the pixels, it will still know. Now, after that, you're going to drag a vertical arrangement, vertical scroll, actually, vertical scroll arrangement, and drag it and drop it there, because you know the items that you're going to place on the screen might scroll and exceed the height of the normal screen. So we use a vertical scroll arrangement. Now, in this vertical scroll arrangement, you're going to give it a width of 90% width. So in the width, you type 90, and then with a percentage, 90%. And then background color, we can choose white. So you'll click on the background color as a pop-up there, choose white, and click on set. And then we are done with that. Of course, the scroll bar should be true like that, and it should be visible. Okay, now let's head into adding a couple of form elements, or let's add a couple of user interface components. So from here, we are going to add a label, and in this label, you're going to place it inside the vertical scroll arrangement. You're going to place inside the vertical scroll arrangement, and in that label, we are going to rename it to form title. I'll rename that to form title. So you rename it at the all components section, form title like that. And then we are going to give it some properties, okay? The text especially should be send appointments to, then full colon, and then we are going to give it what we call HTML components. HTML is actually a language in the web, and it enables you to create or to format your texts here in the Codula. So this B opening tag, and when I close B, I'll close B like that. B opening tag and B closing tag means that we are making our text into bold. So we are boldening the text that comes after the salon appointment. And the reason why we are doing this is we are going to make this section of the text bold and dynamic when we are going to work on the backend. So for now, just put it, we are going to put Salon X. It's just going to be a placeholder so that you can finalize on the user interface. And then after that, click on the advanced properties and then ensure that HTML format is checked, and you can be able to see we have the bold text there. If I don't check it, you'll be able to see the tags as they are. If I check it, you'll be able to see that the salon is bold. So that is the purpose of having the bold text. Now, after you've added the form title, of course, we are going to add another space. So we'll come to the layout section, general section, drag a space, drop it there, and give it a height of 30 pixels. So I'll just type there 30. Great. And then after that, we are going to drag a text box, and the text box is at the user interface. We are going to drag a text box, drop it there. We are going to give this text box the name hairstyle input. We are going to rename it first. So let me just rename it as fast as possible. Hairstyle input, like that. Hairstyle input. Then we rename it. Now in this text box, the width is going to fill parent. The width. Here is the width. How do you select fill parent? It's that box there. You click on it, it fills the parent. And of course, the parent is it's supposed to be actually inside the scroll arrangement. So make sure that you drag your items inside the vertical scroll arrangement. It should be inside the vertical scroll arrangement, not outside. Okay, I hope that is clear. It should be inside the vertical scroll arrangement. Awesome. And then the hint of this text box is going to be hairstyle, so that the user can input the hairstyle. So I'm going to type there hairstyle, like that. I think hairstyle is one word. I think, yeah, hairstyle. I think the user will get it in one way or another. Then after that, we are going to put another space. So instead of us coding, dragging and dropping a space again, I'll just duplicate this, or I'll copy that space and then click on the hairstyle input, then paste below. I'll paste that space and then I'll rename that to space 3. Okay, space 3, and then click on rename. And then I'll click on that hairstyle input. And then on that hairstyle input, I'll copy as well. And then click there, because I want to have a hairstyle input, and then we can put extra description. But before we paste this, we are going to drag a date picker, because normally when you just tell the users to put the space, okay? When you tell the users that put a space here, it's going to be put the date here, it's going to be very hard because users have different ways in which they can put a date. Someone will put, let's say, the date today is 22nd, 05, 2021. Someone will start with a month. Another person will start with the date. It's going to bring a lot of inconsistencies in the database. So there's no need of you doing that. What you can do is there is what we call a date picker. It is the same with the time. Don't leave such sensitive data for the users to just input by themselves. Use a date picker. The way Google or these other major applications does, they they often do they often use date pickers and time pickers. You have to just scroll and pick date and time. So where is the date picker? It is here. You can be able to find there in the user interface, drag it, drop it under the space 3, okay? And then in that date picker, you're going to rename it to appointment date because we want the users to input the appointment date. So rename it to appointment date, like that, appointment date. Then after you've renamed it to appointment date, you are going to change the properties like, of course, some of us have liked the background color of pink. We'll just maintain that. Click there and select pink as the background color. Okay, then the width is fill parent. The width of the text is fill parent. And then we are going to change the text or the title of that to be appointment date. Appointment date. Just the way you would normally type a sentence. Great. We have the appointment date fixed. So after that, we are going to use a time picker now. But before we put a time picker, we will copy this. We'll copy space 3 and paste it below appointment date and rename that to space 4. Rename that to space 4 so that we don't have to recreate this again and again. After you've done that, we are going to get the time picker. Okay, the time picker. Here it is. Drag it and drop it after. It should be inside the vertical scroll arrangement. Okay, use the blue line to guide you. It should be inside. As you can see, it is inside the vertical scroll arrangement. Drag it and drop it there. And then this is the time picker. You're going to rename it to appointment time. So rename that first of all to appointment time. Appointment time. And then after you've renamed it to appointment time, you're going to give it the same properties as we gave the appointment date. Background color, pink. Width, fill parent. And then after fill parent, we are going to change the text to be appointment time. Appointment time. Fantastic. And then we will copy the space again. We'll copy the space again and then paste it below appointment time, and then rename that space to space 5. We'll rename that to space 5, like that. It's super easy. Just copying and pasting, renaming a couple of items. And then we'll now copy the input, hairstyle input again. We'll just copy it and then paste it below, space 5, paste below. And then we are going to rename that to extra description. For example, I know there are some of us who, when we want to go to the salon, we don't want blow dry to a certain extent because of heat damage. You can explain there, or you want a specific conditioner to be used, things like that. African hair really needs a lot of input. We are using we're using this as just as an example, okay? We are assuming that this is a real life scenario. So we will call this extra description input, okay? Extra description input. Extra description input. So that someone can explain any additional thing that they want to be done to them. And then in the extra description input, we are going to rename, to change the, what is it called? The hint, okay? the hint we copied, so we have to change that to be and enter or extra description, extra description. Yeah, extra description. And then from there, we are going to add another space. We're going to add another space before we add a button at the bottom. So in that space, of course, we'll copy this, but this space we want it to be a bit longer so that we differentiate between the section in which we have the form input and the button so that the user can just have a view of what they are doing. So it's not a must. Of course, these are just the interface that are my suggestions, but feel free as you're creating yours, especially when we'll start with the ideation process and you creating your projects, feel free to have or to change this as much as you want. Have your own idea, have your own inspiration as we go along. So we'll paste below. And then in this space, we are going to rename it to space 6. And in this space, we are going to have a height of 60 pixels. So we'll change that to 60. Okay, I don't know why it's not responding. Anyway, 60, like that. It's going to be a bit longer. And then after that, we are going to put a button. We are going to put a button that is going to be very simple. The button is often the first component at the user interface group. Drag it, drop it after the space, but it should be still inside. It should be still inside the horizontal scroll arrangement. And then let's edit the properties. Width, the background color we'll select pink, of course. Width, before we go to width, font bold, font size, we're going to put 16. Default typeface, I don't know why I've not selected typefaces, but font awesome 5 regular, then width fill parent, and then we are going to rename the button to make appointment button or make appointment BTN. Make appointment BTN, like that. We rename that. And then we are going to put shape rounded, at least so that it can have some rounded corners. And we are going to put the text submit in caps or in uppercase. And then what else? We are going to change, the text we've changed, the text to submit. And then you can just make sure if you would like, because I think I like font awesome 5 regular, you can change the typefaces from default to font awesome 5 regular. It's not that it's going to make any difference, but for consistency reasons, if you've chosen like the entire app to be font awesome 5 regular, make sure that you have the entire app as font awesome 5 regular texts. So I'll just make sure that I change that in every text, but it's not a must. It's not a must, guys. You can leave it as it is, but let me just change font awesome 5 regular in all the inputs and the buttons. And then after that, I'm going to drag non-visible components because we will need them in the backend, like a notifier. And then we have also the Firebase database. It is in the Google group. Of course, just come to the palette section, hover and scroll down to Google. You'll be able to see Firebase database. Drag it and drop it there. And then we are going to have TinyDB. Is a storage group. Storage group, TinyDB. And then finally, we are going to have a clock, so that it stores data. When you're going to store data, you're going to add the timestamp at which that appointment has really been made. So if, for example, I make an appointment right now and then I use a clock, it will take the time, the exact time. Like right now it's 10:19 and it's 22nd. So it will make sure that it has captured the clock as well. So the clock is found in the, where is it? It's not a must. You can just search here as well. So when I search clock, you can see that it is in the sensors group. So you can either drag it, you can just drag it and drop it in the screen. Okay, so in case you don't find a component, just search it in the search box. So we have everything that we need in this screen, and this was the assignment. So if you didn't do it or you didn't get time to do it, at least you have now been able to do it, and we've done it together. Now, let us make the last user interface component and dive into backend development. Okay, so we are going to add another screen, and that screen we're going to name it as appointment, like that, and then click on create. If you have any questions along the way, please feel free to ask. Feel free to ask. I don't want uh, to just speak, and maybe you're stuck or anything. Feel free to ask. Okay. And now in the appointments group, we are going to, now in this appointments group, we are going to utilize what we call the non-visible components. And it's really important because Codula is one of the tool which is, which we call low code tool, because you are utilizing the coding properties or the principles that are found in the coding tools a lot. Here we are going to use in this screen, we are going to use what we call dynamic components a lot. So for example, I'm just going to put a space in this screen. And that space, we shall reuse it as many times as possible, depending on the amount of data that the user has inputted or the amount of appointments the user has inputted. We are going to use the dynamic component a lot. So just bear that in mind. You're going to use the dynamic card, the dynamic text views, or the dynamic labels, and then the dynamic spaces. So in that space, we're only going to put once. And then depending on the data that the user has inputted, we are just going to have it, we are going to have it loop through and populate it in our screen as many times as the number of data that the user has generated or the user has input. So let's begin. So in this screen, it's not going to have much. So of course, we'll start by changing the title. The title will be appointments. So we'll scroll down and then change the title to appointments. Okay. And then align horizontal, we are going to put center of the screen. We align horizontal, center. And then align vertical, we leave it as top. Background color, we leave it as it is. And then we shall put a vertical scroll arrangement. We shall put a vertical scroll arrangement, and it is in the user interface group. No, it's in the layout group, general. We drag the vertical scroll arrangement, put it there. Now in the vertical scroll arrangement, we can rename it because this is, in this vertical scroll arrangement, we will use it to add the non-visible components and make it visible, or the dynamic components, okay? So we'll rename that, we'll rename the vertical scroll arrangement, of course, to just vertical. Let's rename it so that it's just custom to us. I've just changed the V, removed the underscores, and removed the one, okay? Change the V to lowercase, remove the underscore, and remove one. So we have vertical scroll arrangement, and then I'll click rename. And then in the vertical scroll arrangement, align horizontal, I'm going, align horizontal, I'm going to choose center so that we have our items as a center. And then width, fill parent, okay, with fill parent, and then background color, I'll choose white. Background color, white. Click on white and then set. And then scroll bar should be true. It should be true by default, yes. So that we can see as our items are scrolling anyways. And then after that, we are going to drag these other non-visible components inside the screen. So the first thing that we are going to drag, of course, is a notifier, because we want to notify, of course, the users in case the data is still loading. We can be able to notify them, or things like that. You can be able to notify the user of what is going on in the app. So we'll drag a notifier, of course. And then after that, we'll make sure that we've dragged a Firebase database. It is in the Google group. Where is it? Google. And then drag Firebase database like that. And then we'll drag also TinyDB. It's in the storage group. TinyDB. They're non-visible, so it doesn't matter where you're dropping them. You can drop them as long as you're dropping in the screen. Now, after that, you're going to drag a dynamic card view. And these all are found in the dynamic components. So let's scroll down. You'll be able to see dynamic components there. Click like that. You'll be able to see dynamic card view. Drag and drop it anywhere in the screen. Doesn't matter where. Now, in that dynamic card view, you're going to rename that. You're going to rename the card so that it's custom to us. We are going to rename that card to appointments list. Okay? It's a dynamic card. Appointments lists. Appointments list. Yeah. After we've renamed that card, we are going to also drag a dynamic space. It doesn't matter the order. It doesn't matter the order. We are going to rename that and rename it to salon space. Salon space, like that. And then after that, we are going to drag a dynamic label, And then in the dynamic label, we are going to rename it to salon label or salon LBL. Salon LBL, like that, salon label. And then finally, we are going to drag web 1 or a web view. So why are we using a web? This one. Why are we using it? It's because our data will need some decoding, because when you are storing data in Firebase database, it stores it in the form of JSON format. And you're going to just have a look at, you can just even Google what JSON format data is, but it's one of popular ways in which you can use data. And when you understand how JSON format is or JSON data is, you can be able to develop apps that can link with one another. For example, if the way Facebook mobile application has the same data as Facebook web when you just log in to Facebook. I'm just giving an example. There is some JSON data in APIs or when in that interfaces that links those two applications. So just have that in mind. It's really one of the important concepts when you understand it. So just Google JSON or JSON format in programming. Maybe there is, and JSON is not JSON the name of the people. It's JSON in caps. JSON. Great. Now we are done with this screen. We are done with user interface development. Now we can just head to the backend development. And in the backend development, before we begin, I just want us to make sure that all our Firebase database components have the links that we really need, have the links, because here the Firebase URL is blank. But you remember when in our first class, we were able to say, or we were able to indicate that the Firebase database, the one that we created, has a special URL that we have to place in each of the Firebase components in our application. So I'll just open a new tab and then I'll go to Firebase Console. Okay, I'll go to Firebase Console. Yes, we were able to create Smart Salon in the Firebase. Okay, and if maybe you having trouble on where to find this, it's very simple. Just you can just Google Firebase. Let me just go step by step. Firebase like that. And then in that Firebase, of course, choose the first option, or you can just go directly to firebase.google.com. And then after you've chosen the first option, it's loading slowly. Great. You can click go to console. Let me wait. Yeah. Go to console. Or I don't know, it's console. Yeah. Go to console. And then, okay, this is my account. Let me log in with the account that I was using. This one. Let me close this. Yeah. Go to console. There is that smart salon. Okay. Make sure that you select it and then click on the Firebase, on the real-time database on the side menu, real-time database. And then in the real-time database, of course, we changed the rules. Just confirm that you have the rules changed to be read true, write true. Okay? If not, make sure that you change that. And then in the data, there is that URL there. Click on it and then right click and copy. Click on it, right click and copy. Copy that URL. Make sure that you select it and copy. It is unique to your application. It's really unique to your application. And then after you've selected that, you'll come back to the Codula and then to this screen. There is that Firebase URL. It's not default anymore. Paste it there. So anywhere we are going to use Firebase, use the default link and change the default link to that. So we have the appointments where we have Firebase, change that. And then we have the make appointment, we have Firebase here. Click on it, change that. Okay. Then we have also the, let me see if we have Firebase in the dashboard. Nope, we don't have Firebase in the dashboard. We don't have Firebase anywhere else. We really don't. Great. So we only have Firebase in 2 locations. Make sure that you've changed that. We have Firebase in the make appointment section. Make sure that you change that. We also have Firebase in the appointment screen. Make sure that you change that, and then we can begin the backend. I'm super excited for us to begin the backend. Great. So the reason as to why we are having the same URL is it's actually the same to this app. And one thing, the good thing about Firebase worth mentioning is a particular app or a particular project can accommodate as many applications as possible. There is some scenario in which this Smart Salon, you can create another project as well and host it here, as long as you've just given it a default bucket here or a default string, and you can use it as many times as possible so that you don't need to again create a project with Firebase. You can still utilize this. But if it is just your first time, you have to make sure that you've created a Firebase project. So that's the good thing about Firebase. One thing that I like about Firebase. Now, after we've done this, let's now head straight to backend. Let's start with screen 1. Screen 1 is super easy. It's just navigating. It's just an introductory screen telling the users that Smart Salon, book appointments, blah, 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 navigate them to another screen. Super easy. So let us have a look at how backend looks like and where we're going to put backend, and even why we are renaming these items to app icon, I don't know to what. So let's, how do you go to the backend? Click on the blocks. The block section is here at the top. Click there at the blocks. You'll be able to come now to the backend section. In the backend section, we have what we call built-in blocks. And built-in blocks enable you to get components that you are going to use to create logic or to create code, to create the drag and drop code. It is in the built-in blocks. And we have the control. We have in the control section, we have the if else statements, conditional statements. Like if this happens, then this should happen. If a user does this, tell them this. If a user does this, make it a successful thing. If a user's input is wrong, then tell them to correct and rectify the input, things like that. We have conditional statement there. We have also looping statements, like for each values, you can loop, and you're going to use that as we go on. So we have also what you call dictionaries. We are going to use dictionaries a lot because a dictionary in this group or in this tool is basically you creating your data in keys and values. Normally in the programming language or in the coding tool, we call this maps. So here in this tool, it calls it dictionary. So in case you start the coding language and you see maps, you'll see similarities here. And then after that, we have this open screen, closing screen, and so on. Then we have the logic, true and false, setting values to true and false, the logical and or, you're going to use that a lot. Then we have maths. You're going to use math a lot as well, in case our values need integers and so on. We're going to use text a lot as well, lists. Yeah, list. You can use list again in this so that you can create empty lists, populate lists, and so on. Dictionaries, I say we are going to use it a lot, and it has, of course, key values, and we are going to search through keys and find those values of a specific key. Colors, nah, we're not going to use that because I don't know. I don't think we're making any color application. Then variables, you're going to use it a lot. And then procedures as well, we are going to use a lot. And procedures in programming language is what we call functions. There are functions. You're going to create functions in this application. Other than that, we don't have the built we have the built-in components, and then we have the ones that you've dragged and dropped, and each one of them has what we call properties, okay? And with these properties, you can be able to manipulate them as much as possible. So that is just worth mentioning. So as I said before, in that screen, that is just the introductory screen. We want when a user clicks on that button, it navigates them to another screen. How do you do that? Very simple. You come to this button. Of course, that's why we renamed it to proceed button. Click on the proceed button and you'll find when proceed button dot click. When proceed button dot click, and when I hover there, user tapped and release the button. When a user taps and release the button, what should happen? So we come to the built-in component here. We have the control. Scroll down, you'll be able to see open another screen, screen name, and drag it and fix it there. You'll hear a sound if your mic is on or um, if you have sound graphics well installed. So open another screen, screen name. And the screen name that we are going to navigate to is login, okay? We are going to navigate to login. So how do we navigate to that? We come to the text group, drag an empty text bubble and fix it there, and then confirm again. How have we written the login screen? Because if you don't write it exactly the way you've called your screen name, it won't navigate. So we've written ours as login in lowercase. Make sure that you write that login like that, without space in front, without space after. So we are done with that screen. When a user taps the proceed button, it will navigate them to the login screen. So let's have a look at the login screen. Of course, I don't want us to start with the login screen because I want us to start with the sign up so that we understand better. The reason why I navigated to the login pages, of course, users are going to interact with the login screen more than they are going to interact with the sign up page. Once a user creates they've signed up into a page, into a place, or into an app. They don't need to sign up again and again. So that's why we are navigating them to the login screen. And in case they don't have an account, of course, if it is their first time, they will click on the sign up button. So let's work on this. Let's work on this backend, okay? Let's work on this backend. So of course, let's start with that button. Let's start with the easy one. Let's go to the blocks. So in case a user comes to this screen and they've not created an account, of course, we will navigate them to the they already have an account. We'll start by navigating them to the login screen. No, let's go to sign up. Sorry, let's go to sign up. Let me come to the designer section. Let's go to sign up. So let's start with the easy one. We want that when the user already has an account, it just navigates them to login. So that's super easy. We've already done that. That button is called to login button. We renamed that. So we can say when to login dot click, what should we do? Come to the control group, click on open another screen name, drag it and drop it and fix it there. Take the texts, drag and drop there. Okay. First of all, let me stop share. I make sure that I share with sound, computer sound. I want us to, yeah, great, fantastic. Now, yeah, we'll be able to see that. Oh, sorry, just a second again. Mm, Just a second. Yeah. I just want us to make sure I've shared the correct today's yeah, great. So share screen. Um, Cordula. Yes, Cordula. Great. Awesome. I hope you can now be able to see the screen. Awesome. So to log in, make sure that you name it as exactly as login is. Okay. So basically, this is very simple concept. It's because in the I mean, in navigating the screen, or if you want a user to navigate from one screen to another, it's super easy. You just make sure that you use these blocks and make sure that you name it as exactly as you've named the screen. So that is one thing just I would like to insist. Make sure that you've named it exactly as you have it in the screen. Great. So after that, in the other than the to login screen or to login button, now let's head to now the backend that involves logic. When we come to the designer section, as you can see, we have some components like email field, password field, okay, name field, email field, password field, and then the register button. So a user will come in the first time, a user will come and make sure that they've inputted their name and their emails and their passwords, possibly. Or there's some users who won't do that. They'll just click on it accidentally. Maybe they they're absent-minded, or you have a lot of things to do. So what happens if a user does not input anything? Okay, if you don't capture that, your application will crash. Make sure that you always capture such, and we call that validating the input. But before we do that, let's now come to the block section and understand a couple of things. There is what we call also variables here in the variables group. We want to assign variables to those user inputs. In the interface, you can see the user is going to input name. They're going to input a password, email as well. Let us create variables to hold this data. So how do we do that? We click on variables and then choose initialize global like that. Yeah. Then after that, initialize global name. We call the first variable, of course, name. We'll just leave it as name. So initialize that variable to an empty text. Let me just repeat. What are variables? Variables are temporary storage locations in which a program is going to use while it is running. Okay? They're temporary storage spaces. They're not like databases. They're just temporary storage spaces that the application is going to use while it is running. So we are going to have the temporary space for name. That is the variable for name. And then we are going to duplicate that so that we don't have to create again. So we'll have a variable called email like that, okay? And then we are going to duplicate that and have a variable called password like that, password. Awesome. Now, after we've put the variables, there is another variable that you are going to create, and that variable is what we call a flag, in quotes, a flag. And what are flags in programming? Flags are raised in case there is something wrong somewhere, okay? So we'll call that flag has errors, okay? So I'll just click on the variables and choose initialize global name. And this one I'll choose has errors like that. And I'll put false, has errors as false. So that when you change this to true, in case the program has errors, it will change this to true, and it is like it is raising a flag. Kwamba, there is something wrong somewhere. Has errors. Great. So after we are done with our variables, the next thing we are going to do is we are going to create what we call a function, and it is in the procedures section. You're going to create a function, and this function basically is there to check whether the user has inputted something in the text boxes. If they have not, we change the flag to true and warn the user, not really warning, and ask them to input something in the program, so that when the user clicks on create or sign up and they've not done anything, our database doesn't have a problem with us. It does not crash. We wait until the user inputs something. So how do we create that function? You come to the procedure section and then drag this to procedure do. It's the first one. You drag it here in your screen somewhere. Just put it somewhere where you have space in your screen. Now, after you've done that, you'll come and you'll come here and let's and add a couple of you'll add a couple of functions or a couple of parameters in this function. So first of all, we rename this function. Let's not call it to procedure. Let's rename it to validate input, because it is there to make sure that the user has inputted something in there in the text boxes that are there. So we are going to add some procedures. How do we add some parameters? We click there. We have input X, drag it there. Input Y, drag it there, like that, so that it has two parameters. And the first parameter, it's X. We are going to rename it to input value. That is the exact value that the user is going to input in the, for example, in the name field. And then the input name, we are going to just make sure that it is, the input name, we are just going to make sure that it is the name that represents that input value. For example, if you're validating name value, we have to make sure that we know that it is input name, the exact input name that we are validating. Now, here in the do section, we come to the control and drag an if, okay? Drag an if and put there, and then we can say if is empty. If we have an empty input value, so that is how you do it. If is empty input value, then we should call a notifier. Where is the notifier? It is among the non-visible component that you dragged. It's at the bottom there. Click on notifier and then choose call notifier one.show alert notice. Call notifier one. Let me find it. It's always in blue. Call notifier one.show alert notice. Just a minute. It's here. Call notifier one.show alert. Almost. I'll find it. I don't know why I always find that notifiers, it's a bit hard to, it's always somewhere and you pass it. Call not, there it is, hidden there. Call notifier one.show alert notice. And then in the notice, you can tell the user to input some value. So how do we tell the user to input some value based on these parameters? We don't just put an empty bubble. We'll put a join, okay? We'll put a join from the text group. We'll put a join like that and paste it and put it there. And then we are going to extend this join once. So we'll click on that cassetting icon, drag and drop it there like that, so that we have 3 sections. So we can say the first thing that we can put there is a text bubble, and then say field, and then a space, and then we have the input name like that. Get input name. I don't know why I've said fields instead of field. Field, then input name. Then we can drag another text box, another text bubble, put it there, and then say, we put a space first, and then say, should not be empty. So what are we saying? We are saying that when a user, in case any input value is empty, in case the name is empty, the name in the, of course, when they're typing, in case the name is empty and then they've clicked register, we should alert them and tell them, actually, field this should not be empty. If it is email, that way. So we've created a method or a function or a procedure to check that. And then after we've done that, we will set the global has errors to true. So how do you set variables? You come here, drag and drop the set, put it there, and set global has errors to true, so that the program does not move anywhere until the user has inputted some value. Great. So we are done with that procedure. We are done with this procedure. So now let us make sure that we create the account. So that when a user clicks the sign up button, what should happen? If a user clicks the sign up button, what should happen? So let's come here and click on the sign up button. Click that one. When the sign up button is clicked, okay? So when the sign up button is clicked, first of all, there are some functions or there are some methods we are going to put inside here. So we have to make the user wait. As you often see in the normal programs, the moment you sign up, a loading thing is showing, but in the background, there are a couple of things that are happening, even more than what we are going to create here. So we make the user wait until the program creates an account for them before we navigate them to the next screen. So when that is happening, or when a user clicks on that button, what should happen is we call the notifier1.show progress dialog. It's the progress dialog or something of that sort. So let me search and find it. Call notifier1.show progress dialog. I'll be able to find it. Custom dialog, shop linear, message. Yeah, there it is. Show progress dialog. Put it there. So for the message, we are just going to put a blank text bubble like that. And also I'll duplicate this so that we just have going to input data. So the message will be creating account like that. And then the title can say, please wait. Please wait as we are creating the account. Awesome. Now, after that, we are going to set the variables. We are going to set the variables. So we'll start with, of course, has errors. We come to the variable section in the built-in blocks. We start with set has errors true to false, of course. We start with false before we start checking. So has errors will start with false. And then global name is in the variable section. Set global name. So we are setting that variable to the input that the user has inputted in the name field. So you'll click the name field and scroll down and choose name field.text. Name field.text. So you can find it, it's here, name field.text. I think mine is scrolling too much. Yeah, here it is. Name field.text. Make sure that you select in the drop down name, global name to name field.text. Then you'll duplicate that so that you set global email to email field.text, and then global password, duplicate that, put it there, global password to password field.text. Simple as that. So what are we saying? In this program, we have assigned variables or storage locations that the program will use as a trans. We have has errors, name, email, and password. So when that button is clicked, the first thing that we are setting is we are from the input, we are giving it or we are storing it to the variables. Now, after that, we are now going to call that function or call this procedure. We are going to call this procedure and put it here so that it checks for us. So in normal programming language, you create a function, and then for that function to work, you have to call it, okay? Of course, there's some functions which are void. They just run once in a while. You learn that as you progress. But you have to call that function in your program for it to work. So we are now going to call that function that we just created. It is in the procedures group. Okay. Okay, so we'll go to the procedures like that, and then call validate import like that. Okay, and then the input value, the input value, of course, should be the name variable. We start with the name one. Okay, so we'll come here and say the input value is from the variables get name. Okay, input variable global name, and then input name. Input name, we can just put as a blank text bubble and choose name. Okay, fantastic. Now, after that, after you've inputted that, we are going to duplicate this so that we don't have to create again. Duplicate that. And then we are going to choose email. And then here we can say email like that. Duplicate this password. And then we change that to password. Yeah, very simple. So we've called that function, and that function or that procedure is just there to check. It's just there to check. Okay? Yeah, fantastic. So I'll just let that sink in. It is super easy. Make sure that as you are, let's say, as you're creating variables, make sure that you try using procedures, okay? Try using procedures a lot because they will save you time. It is like you're creating a function for you to farm for you to perform a particular action. Okay. Now let us finish the sign up. Let us finish the sign up page. Now after you've okay, a second. Yeah. Let us finish the sign up page, the sign up screen. Now, after you've validated the input, now we are going to take an if function, an if. So drag it, drop it here in the screen. And we can say if global has errors equals to false. Because of course, if in the process, everything, the user has inputted everything that is needed, we say if we come to the variables area and we say get, okay? But before we do that, we can go to the logic so that we get an equal sign in the logic group like that. So we can say if get global has errors, okay? If get global has errors equals to false. False equal to false like that. Then that's when we are safe to store our data in the database. That's when we are safe to store our data in the database. So how do we do that? We'll come to the TinyDB, call TinyDB1, the one that we dragged, call TinyDB1.store value. And then for the tag, tags are actually unique identifier in the TinyDB database. For the tag, we'll use email as the unique identifier. We put there as the tag. And then the value to store, we are going to get a dictionary, okay? So click on the dictionary and then choose this one, make dictionary. Of course, we have name, email, and password, but the default dictionary has only 2 values. So you can click there and drag another pair, drop it there so that you can have 3. And then for the first key, we are going to put a blank text bubble and give it as name. Okay, name. We have 10 minutes left actually. And then after this, we duplicate that. And then the second key is email. And then duplicate that. The third key is password. Take note of the keys. They are uniquely identifying the what we call the value that the user has inputted, and they're also uniquely identifying your database. So the value that you're going to put, of course, here in the value, we have global name. So we can just duplicate this and select in the drop down. This is a way of us coding faster. So name, make sure that name matches name in the value. Duplicate that. Email, change that to email. Then duplicate this and change this to password. Password, like that. Awesome. And then after that, we shall call the notifier. Do you remember we started the progress dialog so that some data can start loading from there? We'll dismiss that progress dialog from this end. So we'll come and call notifier one and choose call notifier one dot dismiss progress dialog. There it is. Put it there. And then we can alert the user. Call notifier one dot show alert. Notice. We can alert them that the login has been successful. So we'll drag there and put a blank text bubble there, and then say call notifier, or we can say sign up successful. Proceed to login. Just any words that you want to tell the user. And then after that, you can open another screen. Where is it? We have here, open another screen. Screen name, login. We put a blank text bubble. I often type the word text just from there and I press enter, it will show there, but you can just click the text bubble in the text group, drag it there, it's still the same. So don't worry when you see some pop-ups from my screen. So the screen name is login. It should be careful so that it's exactly as you've named here. Okay. And then there is, in a situation, if the error is true, we should also dismiss the progress dialog. So I'll duplicate this and put it after the if huku chini. So what will this program do? In case you have, if global errors is equal to false, this is what will happen. And then it will dismiss progress dialog and show this alert. But if this is not the case, this is what should happen. We could, of course, add an else here, extend it to add an else, but there's no need. It will still work sequentially. And we are done with the sign up screen. We've already signed up your user. So we can do the login as quickly as possible because it's only a few screens. And then from there, only a few logic. And then from there, we can stop there. So let's do the login screen. It will take us 5 minutes in the login page. So in the login page, we'll have, of course, three variables, because, of course, the first variable is email and password. As you come and check from the designer group, you can be able to see we have email and password, email field and password field. So let's go ahead and create this variable. So the first variable is initialize global name. Of course, that is email, not name anymore. We initialize that to an empty text or an empty group, and then we duplicate that, and then change this to password so that we initialize that to an empty field. And then we're going to initialize what we call account, okay? Account. Because if you can remember, when we were signing up, we were storing, where is the sign up? Let me just show that. In the sign up, as you can see, we were able to store value in the tiny database to have a unique identifier or that unique tag to be global email. And that's what we are going to use. So I'll come to the sign up. login. I'll come back to the login, and then we initialize that account to, we'll create an empty dictionary so that we'll fetch that dictionary the from the TinyDB database. Because as I repeat, you can remember, we stored the tag account, or we stored the tag email, and we stored it to an empty dictionary, to a dictionary that has this value, or to maps that has this value, name, email, and password as keys, and those values respectively. So I'll come back to the login screen, initialize global account to empty dictionary, and then after that, of course, let's handle that button. Let's handle the sign up button. It's very easy. You come to the to sign up button. When to sign up button is clicked, because a user might be in the login page, but they've not created an account. So we can navigate them to the login page. So we'll say open another screen name, sign up. How have we named our sign up? Be very careful, sign up. So I'll just put a text bubble there like that and say sign up. Okay. Higher. Now let's handle when the login button is clicked. Super easy. You click when the login button has been clicked like that. Higher. What do? We start first by setting the variables. So how do we do that? We come to the variables group and choose set like that. Set global email to what? To the email field.text, because the user will have inputted something. So we come to email field, we click there and choose email field.text. It's here. Where is it? Email field.text. Then we can, of course, duplicate this and have set global password to password field.text. Okay. And then from there, we can call the progress dialog. Call notifier1.show progress dialog so that we start telling the user that we are authenticating. We are confirming their details. So call notifier1.show progress dialog. Let me find it. Show progress dialog is here. It is. So I'll drag it, drop it there, and then I'll say text, the message and the title as well. So I'll duplicate that. And then I'll say, of course, for the message, I'll say authenticating. Authenticate is to validate their user, their credentials. Authenticating. Then, of course, the title I'll just put, please wait. Please wait. I think I can put some 2 dots like that. Yeah, please wait. And then from there, the first thing that I will do is I will set the account. I will set that account variable to the value that we've placed, or the value that will be in the tiny database, the one that we placed as email. So how do we do that? We'll come to the variable group, click on the variables, choose set, put it there, account, and then we come to call tinydb1, call tinydb1.getValue. The tag is the global email, the email that the user is going to input. So in case the user has not inputted the correct email, it means that value is not there, or it means they don't have an account. So it will invalidate their login process. So we'll choose that as email. So if value is not there, we delete this and then we say create empty dictionary. So it will just have an empty dictionary like that if value is not there. Okay, so we are almost done. Now, after you've done that, okay, after you've done this, we are going to have a conditional statement to check whether the user is logged in. Of course, the email might be there, but the password might be wrong. So let us have a conditional statement. We'll come to the if group here, drag an if, drop it there, here, okay? And we will take an equal, a logical and, put it here. Haya, tuache hivyo. Let us do our rough work from here, from the side before we put it there. So we will take a logical equal, first of all. and put it like this. And then we shall say the size of dictionary. Let's come to the dictionaries. And this time we're going to take size dictionary. Where is it? Size of dictionary. If the size of dictionary of the global account, the account variable that we've just created there at the top. Yeah, so, and we've set it here in the global account. We've set it here to that dictionary that you've created. So we are saying if the size of the dictionary of the global account is not equal to 0, that means that the user has some details in the database. If the size of the dictionary of the account is not equal to 0, 0, get it from the math group, drag it and put it there, okay? Or, so we have the and. If the size of the dictionary of that is not equal to 0, it means that the user has some details in the account. And let us check the password. We'll come here and take compare text, okay? Compare text and then get global password because you've set the password here to the password field. So we'll say get global password like this, global password. Then we get the equal sign. If it is equal to. Now let us get from the dictionary the password. How do we get from the dictionary? We use get value for key in dictionary, like that. Get value for key in dictionary. It is here. Get value for key in dictionary. So the value, get value for key, the key is password. If you can remember while you're creating the account, we use the password as the key. So we put here password. And then in dictionary, the dictionary of global account, because we've added a dictionary just now in that global account from the TinyDB database. Now, how do we put here? Let's start with the one that is at the far end, like that. And then we put this inside here. So what are we saying? If the size of dictionary is not equal to 0 and the password matches the one that the user had created before, then what do? We go ahead and call tinydb1 and store another variable. Okay, there is a variable that we've just created. There is a variable that we're just going to create so that it assists us in the next session to store our data in the Firebase database. As you can see here, we're using two databases. We are using the TinyDB one and the Firebase database. So we are going to format some value and store it. So how do we do that? We can call TinyDB1 like that and then choose store value first of all. And then the tag, we are going to create another tag, just a new tag. And this is the tag that we'll just be using in case we are storing our data in the Firebase database. So we'll just use the tag here, and the tag will be logged underscore in underscore user, logged in user, or whichever way you would want to call it, as long as you ensure you are consistent throughout your app. Then for value to store, we are going to break that email because actually in the Firebase database, the reason why we are doing this is because in the Firebase database, we cannot store the email. For example, if we are using email as the unique identifier, we cannot put the email, for example, let me use priscilla@gmail.com. That dot is going to interfere with our database because data is stored in JSON format. So there's no need, we can break that or we can segment that and remove that dot so that we just store there. But in the program, we know that it is this user that we are referring to. How do we do that? We come to the text and take a replace all text like this and put there. And then for the text part, of course, we use global email. We take the variables and choose get global email. And then the segment that we are going to remove is the dot, only the dot, like that. So you put that blank text bubble, put a dot. And then the replacement, we are going to replace it with nothing. So that, for example, it's priscilla@gmail.com. We just leave it as priscilla@gmail.com, but it's still going to uniquely identify Priscilla as the user. And then after that, we are done. Now let us dismiss dialogues and complete the session. So we'll call notifier 1 we've done everything and we've made the user wait. So we'll come here and choose call notifier one.dismiss progress dialog. Where is it? Yeah, dismiss progress dialog there. And then we can show alert and tell the user that your login has been successful. Let's show alert notice, put a text, login successful, like that. And then we can open another screen, dashboard, okay? So it is in the control group, open another screen name. We have to confirm, how did you create dashboard? Ensure that the name is correct. We don't want to have errors. Dashboard, like that. And then we can dismiss progress dialog. Of course, this is in the if, okay? If this condition is true, if the size of dictionary is not equal to 0 and the password matches, of course, it means the email and password is correct. But if not, that is, we can extend this if by adding an else. So we click on that cassetting icon on the else. Where is it? Let me try find it, like this. And then drag an else, drop it there so that we have an else. Okay, so else we can dismiss the progress dialog. Let me just duplicate whatever we have here. Okay, and then we can show alert and tell the user that invalid email or password or password. Check credentials or sign up if you are new. I'm very wordy. Yeah, if there is a short way you can summarize that, that would be awesome. Awesome. And we are done. We are done with the sign up we are done with the login screen. And it's very simple. Always just make sure that you have these details. You try as much as possible to just make sure that you try and understand this. Of course, this is a recorded session. We'll make sure that we share this with you, and so that you can go through it again and again in case maybe there was a small hitch, maybe you didn't understand. You can go through, but we also have a WhatsApp group you can share. If you're live, you can just post also in the comments. In case there is a point that you've not understood, we will be glad to help that out. But these are simple, what I can say, these are simple logic in a way that you can be able to create an application as much as possible with the logic that is presented to you. So Esther, your hand is raised. Kindly ask your question. Feel free to unmute and ask your question. Oh, sorry. Anyone else? Anyone who has a question? So as we promised, we will make sure that you guys have what we call some internet support in the coming sessions. But of course, it is based on your attendance. We'll check your attendance. So we'll check your attendance and send you forms. We've seen you guys being very consistent with the attendance. We've seen the same faces a lot. So we'll make sure that we fight so that you get that as soon as possible. So watch out for that, and we'll make sure that you get that. Anyway, any question, feel free to ask. Let me check. I think I've seen a question in the chat. Oh, Shreya Panchal. I hope I've pronounced your name correctly. Please ask the question. Feel free to ask the question.
Yes, you've pronounced my name well.
Thank you.
Actually, I wanted to ask you within the if then else statement
Mm-hmm.
where you are defining where the size of dictionary
Mm-hmm.
get global account is not equal to, and then you have a zero over there.
Yeah.
So where did you get that block from?
Oh, it's actually in the math group here, in the math
Oh,
group.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
following. Awesome. That's a great question. Thank you. Any other question? Thank you for following through. Thank you. Any other question? Great. So I just want to say again, thank you for always joining in to watch the sessions, support the sessions as well. Uh, we will make sure that during the ideation session, we make this process as seamless as possible because we want you guys to come up with ideas on areas of health, economy, democracy, and security. And Polytechnogas, together with the American Embassy Kenya, will make sure that we support you through the process. You're not going to code alone. In case you encounter any trouble, we will be there to support you to the process of you creating the projects. You can create a project. Of course, you can create a project that is personal to you. We are not like restricting you to create projects that let me stop sharing. We're not restricting you to create projects that are specific. Of course, we have those areas. They should come specifically to those areas: health, economy, democracy, and security. But it can be a project that is in the economy, that it will improve the economy of your surrounding. It will make people get employment, and that is the project that maybe you have been wanting to pursue after a long time. You can create it and you can use it to build your application. Okay, we will be there to guide you. It can be a project that is personal to you or a project that is personal to the organization that you are working on. Try it out. We will be there to support you. It is something that we are passionate to do, and we'll be there to support you. Then from there, you can have these skills and be dependent on your own and even empower others. So thank you again for joining, you guys. And based on we've let me make sure that, yeah, based on your on next week, based on your attendance, of course, we will make sure that you have bundles as soon as possible. As soon as that budget is approved, we are waiting for some budget to be approved. We'll make sure that you guys have the airtime support, and from there it will be very easy for you to just continue coding. It's going to be very easy for you to just join these sessions, because I know Zoom consume bundles. We understand that, so we will be there to support. So I I'll leave you guys to go. Let me see. Yeah. Uh, oh, thank you. Thank you also, guys, for the great comments. And yeah, as Shamim is actually one of our facilitators, co-facilitators, and it's true. It seems complex, as she's saying, but if it is just a matter of practice. It's just the way maths in high school, they introduced, let's say they introduced, I don't know, what was the hardest topic? Let's say acceleration in high school. It was hard, but as we progress, as you practice, you find it easy. So make sure that you try and practice it as we go along. So uh, I wish you all the best in this journey. Let's do it together. So have an awesome time, and have an awesome weekend. Thank you guys for joining. I've seen your faces. Thank you for those who are able to share your cameras. Eunice, Cherov, shout out to you. We also have, I think there was, who is Esther Akoko? Were you the one? Shout out to you. For those who shared your cameras, thank you. Shout out to you. Awesome to see you. Awesome. So have an awesome afternoon. Looking forward to seeing you again. Bye.